of the same one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sun knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Even when you fall, sticks and stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen. You will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the same one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sun knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the of stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand ones a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens, we will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens, we will rise up to the top. Even when you fall, sticks and stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you will rise up to.
Welcome, everyone. Oh my goodness, welcome. This is going to be what seems to be, in my opinion, one of the most exciting seasons of Osiris League playoffs in history. I'm your host, Dragothian here. As you can see on the right side of your screen, I also have Bulbaritos joining me. Man, I've got some crazy things to talk about before we get into this amazing match. BG versus JST. BG is a scrappy Osiris League team. They have been going deep into the playoffs for season after season. JST, of course, right? JST has got some serious champion action going on. They've got the banner. They've won once or twice, right? They've done some serious things. Doing great over here on this side of the camera. I hope you guys are ready for an action-packed match. I may be a little too loud because I'm so excited, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. With that being said, so we've only got a few minutes before this thing starts. I want to go over a few things before we jump into the match and before I introduced my cohort, Bulbaritos. He's going to be joining me today. We go through some events, okay? So you have Eye for Talent. You've got the league bets. Y'all know what to do with that stuff, right? I mean, I think that we've done this enough to where you may already have it, but Eye for Talent, you got to be really lucky and you've got to be really savvy. You have to put your coins on who you think is going to win the whole thing, get in the finals and win that match. League bets, as you can see, I've done a few bets. And I actually have a bet on this match, but it's a value bet, guys. This is not a who I think is going to definitely win. It's a, if this team wins, I'm going to get a lot of my coins. So hopefully you guys have already done your league bets and your Eye for Talent bet. You get the maximum multiplier for your Eye for Talent if you did it already before today. So hope you did that. That being said, let's jump into some of the matches here. We've got BG versus JST today at 13 UTC on this channel. That's what we're going to be watching and casting. You've got some other big matchups like 1V versus DKV1, Peak versus 412A. That's a solid match for sure. We've got PX34, previous champions in a different alliance versus NNAV, which is another solid alliance from 1V, who is a very strong alliance in its own right for Osiris League. You know, they're talking back and forth, that kind of thing. Drago saying he does not make Auric refunds. I do not. I want those Aurics, baby. I want them bad. Tons of other matches here, but don't forget, it's not just 32 teams in Osiris League playoffs. We have 128 teams in Osiris League playoffs because look at this. We've got 4 realms to play in. Obviously, Realm of Anubis here having their own 13 UTC matches. Tons of solid matches here to look at and play around with. We also have Bastet, the Realm of Bastet, who has now already had a match, by the way. DQ39 defeating GW18 in their match. So that one looks to be maybe one of the earlier matches that we weren't able to cover because, I mean, it's already not even close to morning time for me yet, and I'm already up and rolling with you guys. So that's how we roll in. But let's go ahead and introduce my partner in crime that we're going to be casting with. Bulbaritos, are you there? And give me a quick snippet on what you think this match is going to look like.
I think the interesting part about this group and the reason that we were so excited to be casting Group D in Horus Realm is because we have 3 teams that all made it into top 16 last season, and so this is going to be an absolute barn burner. I know we've been going back and forth on who we think is going to win, and we just nobody can agree with anybody on it. So I'm very interested to see if JST continue where they left off last season with their aggression, rotations, and just overall strategy. And then on the other hand, BG, I want to see if they're ready to take that next step, baby. They made it in the top 16. Narrowly losing to 114K last season. So it's going to be an interesting match. You definitely, I'm excited to be casting it with you, brother.
You know what? I agree. Let's go ahead and jump into the match here real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and start introducing the combatants. So let me go ahead and pop myself into the background. And here we go. So again, we've got the combatants here from the blue team and then the red team coming in hot as well. We have red team being JST down at the bottom. All your usual suspects in this list. No question that these two teams are looking forward to fighting each other. I know that personally, again, these two teams, they practice all the time. They practice every single week, multiple times per week. even on the weekends. There's no rest for the weary for these two teams. Let me go ahead and showcase BG really quick as we go ahead and open this thing up with Gloomy Star being on the front here, being ready to rock and roll. Likely going to be somebody who's going to be leading the charge from a capture standpoint at the very beginning. We all know in this Osiris League playoffs and just an Ark of Osiris in general, it's all about the buildings. It's all about making sure you're positioned in the right place. But the most important thing is positioning for the Ark of Osiris. And I'm looking forward to seeing both of these teams go to the middle and really fight for this thing, because I know both of these teams do very well with their timing. Bo Burritos, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to seeing from JST?
So from JST, usually there's a couple of things that you look for. One, the rotations are usually on par. Like they're one of the best teams when it comes to timing and rotation in mid, whether they make adjustments or come early, and just skill usage in general in middle. The other thing that they do very, very well is they are constantly applying pressure. And I think this goes over almost all Korean teams in general, as how aggressive they play the game. And I love it. So we're going to see, because BG does the exact same thing where they constantly pressure you on the map and are pushing you. And so that's going to be the interesting part. I think I'm excited to see how BG counter the aggression from JST, but do you think they're going to be able to counter the aggression from JST?
I think they've got the capability to do it, Bull Burritos. I just think that it's going to come down to who really can control the arc play. I think that's really what we're talking about. So speaking of the arc, again, it spawns in 12 minutes and 45 seconds. The match starts in 25 seconds, though. JST, like we just talked about, the previous season champion. Look at that, 2.6 billion power. Even there were 5-6 billion power alliances in that season, and JST just put the whooping to them. So looking at previous seasons, obviously season 1 and 3, Overlord OV winning season 1 and 3, and then season 2 HKL, which is now considered PX34. The match is starting. Let's go ahead and see how this plays out. Obviously, obelisks are going to be on the objective board right off the bat, positioning for desert altar pushes. I'm looking to see if there's any major aggression from both sides, and we can unsimplify these graphics. I feel very confident in the ability of my iPad Pro 12.9 inch to give you the full deal, my friends, the full deal. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Bulburitos, what are you seeing so far?
I'm seeing a lot of aggression as usual. I'm seeing something a little bit different. We're seeing some Caesars on JST. We got a bunch of Ethels. We have what I'm keeping my eyes out for, and I've heard from other teams that they're starting to run Honda combos. So I'm looking to see if they're going to utilize that. But I do see a lot of Saladins, Guans, your typical kind of their normal break off, a lot of Guans. So but they're moving pretty quick. So
yeah, I see some siege coming from both sides. So there's going to be a provisioning component to this. We all knew that and saw it coming. I see T4, T5, T1 siege. There seems to be a little bit of a dynamic on that. I don't know if that's on purpose or if that's just what they've got to work with. I know that KVK can sometimes conflict with Osiris League, everybody, so maybe they've deleted T5 sieges in favor of saving some of that power to get people to migrate in. There's always another story to be told when we're talking about Osiris League and then how it interacts with KVK. But right now we have both obelisks being taken for each team. It looks like JST was able to grab it using saves double C primary a little quicker. However, BG grabbing their obelisk at the top a little faster than JST grabbing it on the bottom. So a little bit of a dynamic there. I do like to see faster or the fastest possible, right? The fastest humanly possible, grabbing those obelisks, because that means you can teleport in quicker, and that means you can start your rallies quicker. And if you can start your rallies quicker than your opponent, you can set the pace. You can dictate how the match is going to be played on the outside lanes, and that hopefully can translate into you setting the pace in the middle. And the middle is really key here on when they start to go towards the middle to defend and attack on that Ark of Osiris.
Yeah, and I'm checking out the side of the marches for BG, and it's very interesting to see how kind of the meta shift last season, and I know you saw it and I saw it, where a lot more teams were starting to use Jadwiga and garrisons, and I'm starting to see this Jadwiga. She's actually one of the fastest marches for BG right now, coming in, and when you're forward facing and you're trying to push on your opponent and getting in those cav and just constantly reinforcing it, becomes an absolute nightmare. So I definitely want we definitely should keep an eye on that. I am seeing a ton of cab pushing on the bottom side. So it's going to be very interesting to watch just kind of the clashing that usually happens right at the start of altar opening.
Yeah, I agree. We got a lot of rallies from BG right now. Some of them are rallies to go to the obelisks, their own obelisks to defend. We've got, let's take a look at the buildings. We have basically 2 minutes left until these buildings open up, but we already have full aggression from JST. Even some Guans. Looks like maybe a Guan Alex for speed. No, that's a Guan Leo on the field from Ralph. I'm surprised how quickly that got there. I'm wondering if there's some marching speed gear on that Guan, considering it got there right about the same time that a double C primary did, and some other cav marches. So very interesting that Guan's already up front. That's a big deal, being able to have some tanky infantry right up front to start brunting that attack, and hopefully trying to get as many players and many marches around this building as possible. If you can time it right, you can definitely ninja these buildings. And if you can keep these structures, that is 750 points right off the bat that you're stealing from your opponent. That's a huge shift in what's probably going to be a very, very tight game for this match. So if you can take those points from the structures for your opponents, you're in really good shape.
And I'm watching what you're watching right now, and JST are doing the exact same on the bottom in a defensive position. Ooh. On the desert altar, and you'll see how forward facing they are fighting right now. They're fighting right where this is traditionally kind of a regroup spot when you're going to follow up on a rally, and they are pushed up super far, and you normally don't see this. Normally most teams are sitting back, they're kind of around the structure just trying to prevent you from just easy hopping into that desert altar, but they are pushing up. And so this just both teams in BG, they're pushing up now. And this is what we kind of expect from two top-notch Korean teams. Highly aggressive, and 17 seconds before these altars and shrines are going to open up.
Yeah, this is going to be very tight. I'm looking to see how the white buildings turn color-wise. I do see, speaking of color changes, I do see an outpost for JST in the blue category. So looks like BG trying to put a little pressure on the backside in conjunction with, and here we go. Here the buildings go. Looks, oh man. So okay, I guess the Sky Altar, there we go. The Sky Altar does go, in fact, blue. They were so focused on the front that everybody on the back line, on the bottom lane for BG. In fact, the Shrine of War still not taken. These guys are looking to, maybe, there we go. There's your Belisarius taking that structure. Okay, so it is 2 altars for each side. However, it's not the normal ones. Now, JST taking back their own desert altar, and it's looking like they're going to be able to secure this from BG. BG doesn't have enough to really take it back at this point, considering that JST can go ahead and fill that up. On the top side, though, JST has a very solid presence still at that altar. This could be a big, big win for JST. If they can take this and keep it, they've already got it. It's probably got about a minute left. Yeah, a minute and 13 seconds until it captures. If they cap this and then go to the middle, this could be a huge blow for BG right off the bat.
Yeah, and the important thing for those of y'all that are new to Ark of Osiris, this is probably one of the most critical parts of the game, and it's the first rotation to mid. Okay, so while I know first occupations are big, and a lot of people don't necessarily put a lot of emphasis on the first arc, what the first arc will do is it allows you to control the pace of the game. So you can hold the arc, you can capture it instantly, you can control when your troops come back to send out fresh troops. So it really is important that we're definitely gonna be paying attention to how they're gonna rotate, because we're getting close to the 5-minute mark, which is around when people are gonna start rotating towards middle.
Yep, 30 seconds left until this desert altar possibly goes in JST's favor. Also, per chat, there's an obelisk rally going on from BG that's staying up. It's a Pakal Herald rallied against a Zenobia YSS here, and I think JST's doing a great job on not swarming it and killing all their troops and having to worry about healing and just topping off the garrison. It's taking a little bit of time for them to do this, but it's also occupying BG's rally as well. All those marches that are inside that rally are not doing anything else. So this is a solid play and win, what looks like to be a win from JST, because that call rally will eventually go down, but they're not swarming it, so it's taking a while. And again, with 5 minutes left until that arc spawns, as I hop to the middle, JST is already starting to get there.
They're already rotating, and that's the part that we definitely want to watch. Like we were saying, the timing of the rotation. Yep. If once we're in middle, if your team is the one that is going to get there first, you definitely always want to do what Mango is doing here. You want to posture up on your opponent's side, because it allows you the ability to have your opponent have to push through you in order to get to the arc. So this is definitely one of the top-notch strategies that a lot of experienced teams you're gonna see them utilize.
Yeah, it seems like BG may be a little bit on the back foot. They did take that structure back, but that's only after JST was like, okay, well, we got our points that we wanted from that Desert Altar. Now we're going to go ahead and let you have it back, and we're going to rotate to the middle and refresh our marches. I think they all went up to kill themselves on their buildings, and that's exactly what they did. That's why these structures are smoking. They're getting their marches back quicker by dying, so that's a solid play as well. And with that being said, again, like you said, Mango up here has the positioning alongside of a few of his compatriots, and BG is starting to get to the middle as well to start that push. I'm interested to see a couple things here. One's going to be what skills are going to be used at the very beginning. Two, quick question, why is the obelisk for BG at the top red now? That's another question I've got. And three, everything else is blinking. So we've got
40 seconds.
We've
I'll
got
keep my eye on that.
Yeah, we got BG also swarming the Desert Altar on the bottom. Looks like they may actually take it. They may be going for a structure game. They have all 4 altars, Bulburitos.
Oof. And they have a Jedwigga in that top obelisk with 30 seconds left before they're going to be able to port into this obelisk zone.
This thing?
I don't know if they're going to get it done in 19 seconds. And if this doesn't happen, you're going to see a big boy now with the most recent update from last season, where all your marches can still port forward, even with marches on the field. And 7 seconds. Oh, this. Woo!
Yeah, it's not going down. So the next question is who and if and who is going to put. Here we go. Here's a port in right now. This is Acro. Okay, so he's 177 million power. Here's another player, 130 million power coming in. Another player. Oh my goodness. This is not what BG wants here. This could be devastating. So they're going to start reinforcing this obelisk while also taking the Shrine of War from BG on the bottom side and taking the Sky Altar away from BG on the bottom side, and probably, oh, look at this. BG surprising me, having the open field in the middle with 2 minutes left until the arc spawns. BG may actually take the arc and kind of make this a null point and kind of knot this back up at even. But with that being said, there are 3 structures that should be blue, Bulburitos, that are now red.
Yeah, we saw this happen a couple of times, and the really, really experienced teams kind of strategize just in case this happens. And you, at this point, you know you have 3 big players on their obelisk. You know that it's going to be a constant game of playing back and forth. So what you should see on the side of BG is them switch focus, and they need to dominate these arcs and cap as many as possible, because the likelihood of them clearing these guys out in their obelisk zone is pretty low. So I want to see BG kind of ramp up the aggression, get some of these structures back. They're going to capture the first arc, so the first arc is going to be worth 3,000 points. You definitely know they're not going to sit on it now, so you should see kind of a roller coaster of them just trying to constantly get as many arcs as possible to make up for this point deficit that they're going to fall into.
I mean, I wonder if their strategy at the beginning was really focus on the buildings, let JST have it, but then after losing the obelisk on their top lane and losing at least 1, if not 2 of the altars, and now again 3 altars in favor of JST at the moment, I wonder if the strategies are flip-flopping back and forth based off of reaction from both teams here. Usually JST pushes pretty hard in the middle, and right now, I mean, there's more red coming in. I mean, this is not a guaranteed arc for BG by any means. There's more red coming in from the top part of the lane because they've rotated in from taking the Sky Altar or the Desert Altar on the top lane.
So it was actually funny when we were watching the obelisk. I went back to middle, and JST actually gave up the middle position and retreated backwards to pull all the BG marches away from the obelisk.
Yep, I saw that.
So, and then when they over approached, then they ran all their marches to the side and then re-approached through the middle. So you're seeing some great movement on the side of JST in middle. They're baiting, they're pushing forward, they're wrapping around, and that's where where the interesting part's going to come in middle. Especially with this arc coming in, they are only down by a little less than 2k points, so this arc will put them back. It's just the nuisance of having players in your obelisk zone that's going to become a it becomes a little tiring, but we'll see how they're going to approach countering that.
It looks like BG will get this. I think they were able to clean up the middle very nicely. I think a good counter to what JST just did to them. Looking at it from the initial wow factor of what JST just did, it looked like, oh wow, JST is going to be at the altar. They're going to be possibly grabbing this and taking off with it. Maybe they've got a speed skill in the middle to use, but that's not the case. This Saladin is tanky. He's moving, and now there's no red marches. They were able to clean up the red marches around, and what JST did on the back side of this was say, okay, we're going to take your desert altar, which we did already, but now we're going to defend it instead of sending more troops to the middle. They're going to probably get it back, BG, but this is points that are ticking in favor of JST. Every 150 point tick is a big deal, especially considering, again, this is the least point arc generating arc that's going to be on the match right now. And I will say, I'm curious to see if they're going to hold it or if they're going to go ahead and cap it and re-grab the lead and then go ahead and grab another arc on top of all that stuff. I'm curious to see how they play that out.
I agree. And one of the things currently right now is keeping an eye on the points per minute. We are at 470 for BG, and then we got 710 points per minute for JST. So right now, what I really do feel like BG are trying to reset their structure game, and just like that, they lose another altar on the bottom side for the side of BG. So
it's tough.
It's tough. Like we keep saying, the movement for JST, they constantly are moving up. So it's it leaves me without words, but it's going to be very interesting to watch BG and how they're going to recapture these structures. They're doing a pretty good job right now on 2 of the altars, but one of them they just lost. So
that was a Trajan on the desert altar on top there for just a second. Hopefully they get that sorted out. That sky altar that you were referencing is still in JST's hands. It is an XY primary garrison, which probably one of the worst commanders that you can have. Maybe that's a glitch, or maybe that's all they've got, and that's all cab up there anyway. But that will likely go back in favor of BG here pretty soon. But again, every time you take a structure, it takes at least 2 minutes, if not 3 minutes, to grab that structure back and start generating points in your favor. That's not only points that your opponent's not getting, but it takes them a long time to actually get that back on top of it. So it's a double whammy. When you take a structure, it's not, even if you can't defend it, it's not that bad. You can actually start really generating some positive ROI on that, because again, like you said before, 560 points per minute in favor of JST, only 260 points per minute in favor of BG, and that's because they just keep taking the buildings, and they'll defend them for a little bit as long as they possibly can, but they start shifting before you think they're going to start shifting. I think that's really where JST is starting to really shine in this match.
And I love watching the arc runner right now. People are getting absolutely agitated watching these CCs come and kill the arc runners. And now you're going to start seeing some reinforcements coming from middle, from Mango, with some fast cav, just to delay. Just delaying the arc capture is a big win, because they're already up in points per minute. They're clearly running it to their obelisks. So we're going to see exactly how well BG are going to do this. But just stalling them right now, we see a Gilgamesh on a Jadwiga right below on that Shrine of War, doing really well as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing that they're eventually going to be able to get this thing over to their building here. But again, at this point, they've lost their Sky Altar on the bottom lane. They've lost one of their outposts on the top area. And again, points per minute wise, they're behind by 300 points per minute at the moment, waiting for structures to capture in their favor. And again, all those structures that they're waiting on for the most part are also blinking. That means they're under attack again from JST. There's absolutely no letting up from JST. Speaking of which, Desert Altar top lane, massive amount of red JST marches just coming in and swarming this thing down. Xeno is great when it comes to trades against rallies, and Xeno YSS in particular is great against not so much a major swarm. She's kind of weak against a major swarm like this from JST, so you may want to consider starting to utilize commanders like Jadwiga, like you said before. Even Wu. I mean, I hate to say it, but Wu has a really great anti-counter swarm kind of deal. And with that being said, Artemisia is in the garrison now for JST. Well, I'm sorry, that's Ethelfled. Now it's Zenobia. There we go. That was an Artemisia march that just happened to be covering where the picture would be. But here we go. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of action.
Now, an interesting thing that I'm seeing right now is those 3 accounts from JST that ported into the obelisk. aren't actually attacking the obelisk. So what they're utilizing is they're utilizing their proximity to the structures, and they're just marching. They're just cutting down. They're reducing the time that it's taking them to get and reinforce this topside desert altar. So they're just constantly five marching and sending it through it. They're not even swarming the obelisk at this point, which is very, very smart. They're not going to blow up their hospitals and have to constantly heal and heal and heal. They're just going to reduce their time spent on field traveling to get to structures, which is really smart.
Yeah, they're also disrupting the provisioning here. I took a look when you were starting to talk about it, and Acro's got a double C out, disrupting the provisioning for BG at the top lane. This could be a big deal. I mean, it already is a big deal, but I think this could be a bigger deal as the match goes on, and we start to see it. If it ends up being a close match towards the end, this could be a huge deal considering how provisioning works and everything like that. Hard push again being used by BG to hopefully capture these structures back as quickly as possible. They're holding the arc right now. They've got 3,000 points in their pocket. If they used it right this second, they would actually still be behind by about 70 points. So I'm not sure if this is the right play considering BG just they need as many points as they can possibly get. JST is outplaying them on the open field and in the structure game as far as positioning and being able to take things as they want it. And I mean, 620 points per minute for JST versus 410 for BG. That will not even out if you can't get them on their back heels.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing what happens a lot of the time on the top side, where Korean alliances in particular, because of how aggressive they tend to play, you'll see them push up in that spacing between the obelisk and the altars, and they constantly are battling you right there. So you're literally hopping out of your city with your marches and already getting hit by the enemy. So that's one of the smart, high tier plays that they do, and then they'll pull back, and then they kind of ebb and flow between that zone. And I do agree with you on the middle strategy. I'm not sure if holding the arc is the smart play here, because as of right now, that 3,000 points is just going to nil them up. But that also brings us to a point of how important arc is. Okay, they clearly on the open field, we're watching JST do their thing. In the middle, we saw BG run the arc, and even though they are still down in the points per minute game, just with one arc, they're going to be built up. So it's going to be very interesting to watch how the future arcs are going to post up.
Yeah, I see a lot of Jadwiga being used for JST, and I see a lot of Xeno being used for BG, and I'm seeing a lot of the BG buildings flipping red on a regular pace, whereas on the JST side, not so much. I think a lot of this obviously has to do with the pressure that JST is able to be bringing on a constant basis across the map. Obviously, also having 3 major cities inside your opponent's obelisk teleport spots. Not only is that annoying, but it's taking up teleport space for your actual players to come forward. And I don't know if they meant to do it, but they did a very good job of blocking not just 3 teleport spots, but likely about 5 or 6 because of the way that they've done it.
For other leaders that are always yelling,
they're like, teleport better.
Right? Yeah. Let's teleport the worst possible way, fam.
That's exactly right. So again, disrupting not only the actual lane itself with having those three cities there, but again, like we said before, disrupting the provisioning. I don't see a whole lot of provisioning happening on the top lane except for maybe 1 or 2 players. And again, that also gives quick access to these outposts as well for JST because of the proximity of those cities, and that's what you're seeing. You have 2 out of the 3 outposts at the top for BG being JST's red color.
Yeah, and just like that, they capture the arc. So the next one will be spawning in about 7 minutes. Now they are going to be fighting on their back foot because all those buffs that you get from structures, you're going to be fighting uphill. And this is the spot where traditionally you're going to see JST pop either to the death or Heaven's Grace. They're going to pop one of those top tier skills in the middle, and it's going to be interesting to see how BG counter it.
Yeah, we got just under 7 minutes before the arc spawn since it was just captured by BG. Again, even with that 3,000 point boost from that arc, they're still down by almost 2,000 points now because of the point per minute disparity. 800 points per minute in favor of JST versus only 230 from BG. This is how they win. They beat you on the structure game by taking your buildings over and over and over and over again. And while you're trying to take that back, they're already repositioning to another structure to take from you. So while you're taking another 5 minutes to take that structure back, they're taking 3 minutes to go ahead and go over and take this other structure because you have all your other stuff at your other buildings. So, I mean, this is how you really need to play. I mean, if you're looking for a clinic on, what to do, and there's really no what not to do in this match. I mean, BG is doing everything they can to keep up with the pace that JST is setting. But again, like I said at the beginning, you can set that pace whenever you're the one taking the initiative at the beginning. And that's really what's happening here. I think the combination of knowing when to pull back on that arc and pulling and stretching out those forces, and then at the same time pulling back and attacking on the outside lanes is really where JST has been shining.
And now I'm seeing a Wuzetion on the side of JST top side. Got the little Trajan swarm in here, but just different combos. And I don't know, and they just switched to Jedwigga, but they're just utilizing different. Just different. You know, most teams are going to be utilizing Zenobia, but for your 60 GTs, your UCSs, your JSTs, those teams, you're going to see a lot more Jedwiggas because of the amount of aggression that you can get and the speed at which you can cross the map with Cav that makes this game mode very dangerous. So that's where the fully stocked and geared up Jedwiggas come into play, and that's why you're seeing it a lot more. You're also starting to see on bottom side people rotating towards middle from BG as they took the Desert Altar back, and now they are just rotating in. They understand the importance of this next arc, and just like that, look at JST in the middle.
They they both know what's up here. They're already skirmishing in front of the temple here, pulling back from that skirmish. There is that Ethelfled, but the Double C is having none of it. He's going to go ahead and start to push as well. It looks like we have a Guan here trying to do a little AoE silence before he gets absolutely melted down, which is exactly what's happening. I see some axes flying. I love to see some axes flying from my boy Harold. He's always getting a little rough and tumble in the middle there with all of his axes. Even some YSGs. Again, I'm interested to see as the new stuff that's coming out into the game with the museum and all the new KBK events, how that's going to impact some of this action that we're seeing here today. I know that a lot of it's Season of Conquest based, but like we said earlier in the match, KBK can impact Osiris League, so I'm interested to see how that stuff plays out. We also do have a giveaway, guys, in the chat. If you haven't seen it, look for the yellow name, Rise of Kingdoms, with that sweet, sweet check mark. There's a giveaway round. 1,000 gems were just won by 10 players there. 1, 2, 3, 4. More than 10 players. Looks like maybe... No, it's 10 players. There we go. So it looks like 10,000 gems were just given away. They're dropping them like candy. Make sure you're paying attention to the chat, and make sure you're paying attention to this action. JST has a solid position, Bulburitos.
Yeah, and just like that, and this is what I mean by when we watch these teams, we always watch their movement, because a lot of teams, when you see their mid game, you see them all just push forward, and it's like bang your head on the wall. But you'll see JST, they pushed them at the very beginning. As I was watching, they pushed them. They saw that more BG, they were losing their numbers, so they pulled back a little bit until their other marches came from the backside, and now they're going to reapproach here with 3 minutes. Oh, actually, they probably won't reapproach. They're just going to ball up, get ready for BG to have to push. Then you're going to see the skills start popping, and it's going to look like Christmas morning on this map.
Yeah, looks like JST is at least giving BG a chance to consolidate their forces here. I'm curious if they just think that they're outnumbered at the moment, and that's why they're not pushing. I think that might be the case. BG does have a very solid ball already formed up, and it's getting added to. Same thing with JST, obviously, though. It's basically a big red blob of names at the moment. You can't even really tell who actually is an individual in that ball there. So good job on both sides here. I think that we're going to see, like you said, we're going to see some of the big 6-point alliance skills. They've only been using hard push really throughout the whole match, so they should have plenty of points to use for. Here we go. Here is this the push? I think this is the push from JST. JST pushing into BG. Ooh, here we go. War drums for JST.
To the death on BG. Watch, Heaven's Grace is going to come out from JST. Watch this.
No, wait, they're pulling back. They did this during the invitation too. This was something I remember highlighting with Chisco when we were casting the invitation, the Osiris Invitational, or the Grand Finals, I think is what it was called last year. They did this, and I mean, there's a minute and a half left before this arc spawn, so it doesn't really matter where you're necessarily at on the actual battlefield. And I think the point behind this is they saw to the death being used on BG. They're faster on the field than BG is, it seems. So what they're doing is they're trying to waste the to the death timer.
Yep. And now they're going to run around them and then reapproach, and you should see
they'll
probably pop their other skill right now. see. Should see it pop out because they reapproached.
Now I wonder if they're going to pop to the death now that they have the re-engagement and see if BG pulls back. I doubt they will. Doesn't look like they'll need to. Let's zoom out here and see what the dots look like.
And that's the interesting part because it looks, well, we can't really see it. It looks fairly blue to me.
It looks pretty blue. Yeah, it looks pretty blue.
That is likely what you should be expecting for a team that pops to the death.
I'm seeing a lot of blue marches die now.
Mm-hmm. All that skill damage. Oh my goodness.
Yep. I mean, it's just a red mess, isn't it? Yep. Like, I'm not sure how it is on your guys' screen that you're watching on live at home or in the restroom or wherever you are, because this is a mobile game, baby. So, you know, it's a bunch of red numbers, guys, and this is what you get whenever you get the full graph. Look at all those blue marches going home. Oh my goodness. Is JST going to pull this out? Let me zoom out. It's looking very red now, guys. Very red. A lot less blue than it was before. A lot of those half-dead marches that were pushing forward with to the death are now dead and heading back home. This could be a route for JST, and you know, I do see some buildings that's supposed to be red that are now blue, but they're very minor buildings, and with a 3,000 point deficit that BG needs to make up, they need this arc. It is now captured, by the way, by JST, and it is coming back already. Now, they did capture it on the wrong side, but there's no blue to kill him.
There's no blue?
There's nothing left.
Oh, man. And the insane part was JST only used one skill. They didn't even pop to the death.
Or
they baited him, which was really smart. When you go and rewatch this, when y'all do go and rewatch this, when JST were approaching BG to start the aggressive part, they baited to the death out and then instantly ran all the way back to kill all the timer. So it's a 6-point skill that just got wasted. And oh man, and that CC is going to be booking it, so he's already going to be gone.
Yeah, I don't really see much coming in from the BG side on the top lane. They're all trying to recoup from where they were at before. And you know, if you're just joining us, we're just over halfway through the match. My name's Dragothian. We are, well, I'm joined by Bulbaritos as well. We're all here casting for you all. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing on the screen. All the action is definitely fun to watch, and if we're able to add just a snippet of value, I think that's a huge win. And I think at the end of the day, the two winners are definitely BG and JST here. They're having a blast, more of a blast than I am casting it, at least. I would love to be playing this instead of casting it, but here we are, JST marching with this Ark of Osiris back to their structure, and it looks like they're actually going to grab it at the Shrine of War right off the bat. I see a line going. I don't see anybody stopping. We'll have to see if they actually cap this or not. All the structures, for the most part, although there is an obelisk attack, nope, that's actually gone. All the structures are basically knotted up at even. There's one outpost that's blue that's supposed to be red, but basically everything's equal. And the problem here now is JST has now capped that arc, resetting the timer 8 minutes until the next one opens, and they have now a 6,000 point lead. So this is huge.
Wasting no time. They want more and more and more. And I'm pretty confident the reason they were doing that is because now they want to switch focus to the structures. Because ever since BG went middle and it looked a little fishy, BG started recapping a lot of their structures to take the points lead in the points per minute. So I definitely think that capping this arc fast forces BG to kind of make awkward rotations in regards to their marches that are forward facing on structures and stuff like that, because now you have to make that difficult choice of, if your march is half dead, do you kill it off before you have to rotate? Or, you know, it just forces your hand on your opponent, which is very, very smart.
Well, I will say BG successfully defended their Sky Altar on the bottom lane. I think they did a great job there. However, there is a JST member south of that Sky Altar trying to rotate around and maybe cause some havoc on the provisioning maybe. There is a rally coming from BG as well towards the Shrine of Life to go in conjunction with the rally/swarm, which is probably just a swarm at this point, on the Desert Altar for JST as well. It looks like this may actually go down in favor of the blue team. That's exactly what they need. They need to start taking structures, but not just taking structures, Bulba. They need to be keeping them. That's really going to be key here. They need to start taking some points per minute away from JST in a big way, and that's what they're doing right now. 590 points per minute for BG and only 180 for JST. So this is a big deal. All four altars go in favor of BG currently right now. They need to cap them, though. They need to really start taking. That's 150 per altar, guys. That's 600 points per minute. That could help them get back into this game in a big way, and they need it. They need that stuff right now with 24 and a half minutes left in this match.
And on the top side, Sky Altar on JST side, we see an Amani Garrison just absolutely filthy against the Swarm right now. She's
especially
just,
Cav.
Yeah, against
Cav.
Man, so what holding these altars is going to give BG is it's going to give them those extra buffs, the shrines, all those things going into this next arc rotation. And now the interesting part is they did pop to the death last rotation and lost. So we're going to have to see if JST are going to pop theirs and how BG are going to counter it, because BG really do need this next arc.
They're already rotating to the middle, Bubba. They're already rotating. It's just under 6 minutes left.
See, the cool part is those teammates that were in the top obelisk for JST, they're just V-lining right here. There's a choke point when you zoom in on these lines where they all vector in. And if you have really strong players, right, it's 15 marches, just hitting all the marches, trying to rotate towards middle, just trying to get them down to red, get them down to yellow, because the more half-dead marches you have in middle for your opponent, the better off you are going to be coming in with fresh marches from the bottom side.
Yeah, agreed. Quick public service announcement. Rise of Kingdoms has said in the chat, next giveaway in 5 minutes. Have you submitted your Gov ID right now? That's a big deal if you want to get free 1,000 gems, people. 1,000 gems goes a long way. As we can see, those 1,000 gems being put to use by all these players on the map. We have a lot of gold on the map. Not only gold troops, but we have a lot of gold equipment that you can't see. I guarantee these guys are lit up with proc gold equipment, especially on the red side over here, really putting it to a lot of these players. I always hate seeing double C primary on the field, but there is a value to it, and this is it. You have the ability to really run this Ark of Osiris back to your side in a quick way. Also, being able to kill provisioners. This is the only time I endorse killing farmers in Rise of Kingdoms is during Ark of Osiris. So here we go. We have Double C already trying to make some waves over here. He's running back and forth, just trying not to get killed, keep a little bit of his health. I personally think he's going to try and get half health to activate the charge talent inside of the Cav tree. I think that's something else he's going to do. But right now he's just sitting by the temple at 4 minutes, just waiting patiently, saying, please, sir, can I have some more?
Yeah, and it's an all-out effort. I'm watching JST on the bottom side just absolutely dumping marches in the middle. And this is where you understand the investment that's going to come for this next arc. If JST get this one, it doesn't eliminate the match, but it makes it a very steep uphill battle for BG.
Sure does.
On the side of BG, if they take this arc, this is going to be worth 4,000 points. So this puts them right back in the mix. I mean, even after that obelisk, the obelisk problems that they had at the beginning of the match.
Still 2-1 on the points per minute for BG. That's saving. That's really kind of helped save them and keep this match as close as it is. Again, another PSA, by the way, public service announcement. If you are trying to be in this giveaway, don't just put your governor ID in chat. You need to go to the pinned comment in the chat, and there's a form that you can submit to go ahead and get yourself logged in for the giveaway. Don't just start spamming your governor ID in the chat. That's not going to do you any good. Make sure you use the link, the form, in the pinned comment. Hopefully that clears everything up.
Look at this weird
I got strategy. A little diagonal standoff going on here at the temple. I'm just sitting here staring at it. A little emoji BM action going back and forth. A little bit of El Cid and Ethelfled.
I'm waiting for the YSG incense emoji to come out.
Oh man,
that's a designated JST emoji right there. They popped it all season long.
Oh my goodness, that's so weird that both sides are just kind of coming in. Okay, now they're moving. They're shuffling down south.
Chessboard.
A little bit of a half moon situation, a little crescent situation.
Watch BG move back. Watch BG move back. They're just gonna play around this. Oh man. I think they're trying to bait out the skills from JST. I think that's what they're trying to do, but I don't know if it's gonna work. Oh, what if they split? They all see. This is gonna be interesting because JST, they have them backed up on the backside. So if JST approach, it could split their marches going top and bottom of that arc. Yeah, they all need to rotate towards one side. That way, when they pop their skills, they can maximize the amount of marches that are going to get that skill.
From the reinforcements. All right, here comes the push. It looks like JST has decided now is the time. 1 minute, 40 seconds to the death from JST used. BG not pulling back. They're like, who cares? Let's go ahead and just
YOLO.
push. Yep, a little bit of a YOLO action there. Mystical Formation and To the Death from JST. Mystical Formation and War Drums being used for BG, and I'm seeing a lot more blue marches go back than red, and there's a reason for that. It's a lot of To the Death action and a lot of red. Oh my goodness. Enjoy the red, people. Enjoy all the red on top of all those marches, because that's what you're getting.
Yeah, and right now, I just looked at the points per minute. JST, we're able to knot it up at 590. So that, oh my goodness, look at the amount of sad faces coming on the side of blue.
Yep.
Oh.
If you sit there and face tank To the Death with Mystical Formation and War Drums, it's probably not going to be good. Yeah, I mean, it's really starting to go through now. I mean, we're even starting to see the, oh, that's a double C primary, but some of the bigger marches there, Nebu primary, those are starting to go. Ethelfled Trajans going, Saladin even getting back. This is bad. This is bad for the blue team. If I scroll out just a little bit, blue still has a presence, but I mean, I think red has definitely got more of a presence. Are they? I mean, this is not the time to really still be playing the structure game whenever you need these 4,000 points. If JST gets these 4,000 points, I think that's probably GG with how many minutes are left in this game. But I mean, I don't think this is anything BG didn't do, right? I mean, they sent everybody they could to the middle. They did everything they could. I don't think this is necessarily a miss by BG. I think it was just a matter of the timing of the line skills. I think that played a big part. Using it at the beginning and JST pulling back and not necessarily just sitting there and taking it. JST has the altar at this point, by the way. And, yeah, I mean, BG needs to really start figuring something out, whether they're sending rallies to the other side to try and take out the arc carrier, maybe catch JST out of position, trying to reorganize for some more structure pushes. I think maybe that's an option. But if JST doesn't do that and they're just sitting there escorting the arc, it's going to be very difficult to grab it.
Yeah, and I kind of wish I wish we would have seen BG pull what JST did, because I kind of feel like To the Death was a little premature at a minute 45. So even if they would have pulled back a little bit for at least 10-15 seconds and then reapproached, then I feel like they wouldn't have been face palming into a wall, which is To the Death. So we're gonna keep an eye on it. We have a Guan running the arc, so YOLO on that one. And we're looking at points per minute. It's still 590, but like you said, this arc's gonna be worth 4,000 points. It's gonna put them at almost an 8K point lead with 16 minutes left.
Nebu's not going to cut it. Yeah, I mean, the JST definitely has this. And again, I mean, I see a lot of blue lines coming down the top lane here to try and maybe intercept. And with Guan carrying the arc, that is a possibility. It's not a double C primary. It's not a Belisarius primary. It's not a Jadwiga primary. It's not, any of our mobility Cav commander primaries, Takeda. It's a Guan. So, I mean, Guan does have some march speed, but inherently it is infantry. So it's going to be kind of slow. And it's not Guan Alex or Guan Charles. It's Guan Leo. So not much additional march speed being added from that secondary commander. And now JST seeing, hey, we got a lot of people coming down from BG trying to ninja this. And if they can maybe send a rally, which I think they have.
They have like all their marches topside, just face palming all the way to that choke point.
I want to say they have a rally on this too. Nope, not that one. There we go. They do have a rally on it. That would be this player here. Has a rally on the Shrine of War. If they can take that Shrine of War and grab the arc, that's just as good as grabbing it from the middle. So, I mean, this is a lot to do here. I think JST needs to start shifting some players over to deal with this big, massive wave coming down, because this is a potential threat from BG, and BG needs to constantly keep sending. They need to constantly keep sending. And they're still going down, by the way. They're not going to the Shrine of War. They're going to try and take it back to the obelisk or even an outpost to try and create some more space. And BG's going to have to go through this absolute, chainsaw buzz shredder here to try and get to that arc carrier. It looks like they may be able to do it, but it's going to cost them some health.
Now, it is important to note, if this wasn't a Guan running this arc, they probably would have already been at their obelisk.
Yeah.
So the march that picks up the arc, especially when they cleared the field, is an important thing to note, because none of these blue marches from BG would have even come close to this arc runner, and just like that, it gets melted. You might see a play for them trying to run this to the outpost, but it's going to be very interesting. They do have a rally on this Zenobia in the Shrine of War directly north of the arc, so we'll see which way they decide to go.
But JST grabs it again and immediately drops it. There's a lot of blue here, but they're not quite on top of the arc, and the ones that are getting absolutely melted by JST. I wonder if there's an alliance skill that's going to be used here on the BG side, whether it's another, I think the timer might be up on the war drums again, possibly, or maybe another skill like Desert Storm, if they have that slotted to slow people down. There's a couple different things they could do here, and this is turning very, very blue, guys. Interested to see if they can pull it and maybe swarm this outpost down here. They have the area over here. BG has the area. I would peel maybe 3 marches from the incoming from the left side. And again, this is me side seat, Jeep jockeying, the strategy here. But take 3 of those marches, come down here and take this outpost, and you have a free and clear path that you could possibly bring that arc back to the outpost. But unfortunately, it looks like JST just not giving this up in an easy way. I would not be going after the Shrine of War. I'd be going after this outpost. This outpost is your saving grace. This is your salvation. There's a clear path between them and the outpost. Not so much on the Desert Altar, and BG has it. They are taking off.
I don't know where he's running the arc.
I would be going the other way, taking that outpost. I mean, again, this is so side seat driving. They're in the middle. I'm sitting here not doing anything except talking and moving my camera around. But they're sitting here doing 15 different things at once on multiple screens. So you can't fault them for what's going on here. But this would be a huge win. Now that again, people are seeing on the JST side, oh crap, we possibly could lose this. There are people coming up from the south now as well, and with them being so close to the teleport area on the top side obelisk for JST able to easily reinforce this area. They just needed to weather the storm. That's exactly what they're doing. They had a chance. BG had a chance, but they needed to be proactive on taking that outpost, and they needed to be going south instead of north. Those 2 things needed to happen, and neither one did, and that's kind of why they're getting removed from the map at this point, because they're so close to the teleport spot for BG at the top lane.
And the amount of communication that had to go there, because while we were watching the arc directly north in that Shrine of War, when we were talking about them getting it, you saw a split in marches. So they were constantly sending reinforcements to that structure alongside of going to swarm this arc runner. So that Zenobia still and that
Shrine of War hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, it hasn't gone anywhere, and that's definitely the importance of Garrison and knowing who's going to be best. They could have put a Jedwigga in there as fast as Cav can reinforce, but Xeno has her purpose, and she tanks like no other. So
she's got proper reinforcement. She's not going anywhere. I will say this XY is going to basically make it. I don't see anybody else being able to make it there in time. There's just too many JST marches around where BG has to go through to get to it. So this is a 4,000 point addition to JST. I feel like they're probably going to hold until about 8 minutes, maybe 7.5 minutes. They'll probably hold this for about 3 minutes or so, 3 or 4 minutes, just to make sure another arc doesn't spawn. And this should be a GG win for JST if they do that. If they cap it right now, there is still potentially a chance for BG to get back in this game. If they don't cap it right now, then they actually can kind of make this thing get knotted up and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah,
and enjoy their travel to the next round.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Possibly. They haven't locked it up yet, but it's a great start, because this BG was definitely one of the top teams in this group.
Yep.
And JST looking smooth like butter, same as last season. So, I hope y'all are enjoying the stream, enjoying the cast. Make sure, if y'all haven't already, drop a like on the stream. We have 1.7K people in here. Let's smash that like button if y'all are enjoying the cast, and let us know in the comments what teams you're excited for in this coming season.
Yep, I agree. Thank you for that, Bulba. And yeah, I mean, they're playing Ring Around the Rosie at the moment with the arc. There is a march from BG chasing after this double C primary, and it probably will drop it. But again, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be enough. Being literally on top of JST cities, I think even this T5 Joan-led Trebuchet siege group could probably go ahead and stop BG from capping that. There's no way to capture another player's city, so this is going to kind of be GG, and even JST grabbing it right in front of that XY anyway. Although there is some more coming from the left. Who knows? I mean, can one of them grab the obelisk maybe and grab? I mean, they just capped it. They're like, okay, we're done messing with this. There is a minute and 20 seconds in between when the arc spawns and when the timer lasts, and unfortunately for BG, that is too short of a time.
Yeah.
Even if they had no opposition whatsoever, it takes about 1 minute 45 to 1 minute 50 to get from the center to the outpost, which is the closest structure for them to get to. So there's no way to do that, unfortunately. That's going to be GG for this match with an 8,000 point lead. 9 minutes left to go here. I think BG would have to literally take over the entire map and hold it, and maybe pray for double point system or like a double XP system coming into the game. BG has fought very well, I will say, in this match, though. I mean, what are you supposed to do when JST has you pushed on the top lane, the bottom lane, has more than you in the middle, outpulls your to the death, and then uses to the death, makes you face tank it because you need an arc so bad? I mean, that's rough.
Now, I will say they did do a very good job, all things considering. If you would have told me that JST were going to port in 3 bigger accounts towards the beginning of the match and they lost by 8K, a lot of teams usually lose by double points.
Yeah, that's GG.
And it's pretty tough to come back because you're like, I'm watching right now, they're freely marching from the obelisk and not getting hit as their marches are leaving. So, you know, it's one of those you kind of understand you're playing with house money at that point. And I think they did a very good job. I think they lost a couple of rotations in middle to JST, and a couple of got a little outsmarted on their skill usage when it came to the death. But overall, I think their map movement was very, very solid. JST just coming back, you know, and having the counter strats again.
You know, it's funny. So we went over it earlier in the stream where we started highlighting some of the big alliances that are in Realm of Horus and how often they've been in the playoffs for Osiris League. One notable one that's missing, that hasn't missed a playoffs in 4 seasons, is JWM. I know that they've kind of moved some things around. They've moved some people around to different alliances across different kingdoms, but not having JWM in season 5 is kind of an interesting plot point that I wanted to kind of bring up as we see the BG folks take back their Desert Altar on the top lane, but also losing the Sky Altar on the bottom lane, and it actually will capture for JST and grab some points that way. But we have seen a shift, right? We've seen a lot of the newer alliances, whether they're migrated from older kingdoms or not. Some of these newer alliances are really starting to put on some shows here. And JST, they're not a new alliance by any means, but they're in Kingdom 365. They're not like, you know, BG, for instance. BG is Kingdom 8. Kingdom 8 is almost a 4-year-old kingdom. BG having that kingdom open for so long. Obviously, the first year or so of Rise of Kingdoms, for those of you that have been playing as long as I have, you know, you've seen how the progression of the game has gone. That first year or so, there was no such thing as Ark of Osiris or Osiris League. In fact, there was no such thing as KVK. It was just your kingdom. That's all you had. There was no equipment. There was no anything. It was just commanders. So, you know, when we're talking about being an older kingdom versus a newer kingdom, moving older alliances into newer kingdoms, it's changing how the complexity and dynamic of this system is coming into play. And I for one, am enjoying all the dynamic changes that have been happening so far and what we've been seeing so far.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm going to be the most interested to see, I don't know the official if they've released it yet, but with the Korean teams and a lot of top-notch teams on how they utilize Cav, knowing that the new Cavs, and I know we've seen like 1 million videos on the new Cavs already at this point, and seeing how that's going to change a lot. Seeing how that's going to change, because you see a ton of Cavs. You see it from 60GT. You'll see it from JST. They utilize their Cav marches very, very well. How that's going to adapt to BG, I think, will take advantage of that as well. And just how our top tier teams are going to be adapting to that, because it's going to be an interesting shift into probably seeing a lot more Cavs on the field coming up soon.
Yeah, I agree. With these 2 new ones coming out, they look very rally intensive, and with as many Jadwigas as we saw from JST, I think they're going to play, especially Alexander Nevsky. He's going to play an absolutely critical part in Osiris League going forward in future seasons. Depending on when they get released, I mean, maybe you can use them in the grand finals. Well, maybe we'll see some grand finals new Cav action, a little bit of a teaser for Season 6 as we open it up to the rest of the kingdoms again, to go ahead and try and win the coveted trophy, as well as that nice little Alliance banner, Osiris wings at the top of your banner as well. Very, very nice to see that on JST. OV's got a couple of them. I wonder if they've stacked. Do they stack, or is it just the one? I think it's just
no.
The one.
They give you the 2 icons.
So you have 2 wings, like okay.
In top 32, oh, okay. In top 32, I know they have 2 little icons on the little graphic. On the actual team, I'm not sure if it gives you 2. I think it's just 1, and then when you click on it, it gives you the multiple seasons.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, some fighting going on in the middle with 4 minutes left. There's 2 minutes 30 seconds until this thing spawns. Again, all for show. I think both teams just kind of are waiting for the last 4 minutes of inevitability here. Both teams having basically all their structures except for the 2 outposts that are supposed to be red for JST are BGs. But again, the points per minute total right now in favor of BG, but just not enough time to really make that matter much. That'll be about 1,000 points if they're able to keep that actual ratio, which I doubt, because again, they've JST has taken back their altar and their Shrine of War there. So looking to be a nice little victory for JST. This came down to really the last arc. If BG had taken that last arc, I think that the last 8 or 9 minutes or so could have been a lot more action-packed and needing to be watched at every single point in turn, because if that's a 4,000 point swing right now, that would actually make BG in the lead, because it's right now only a 7,800 point game. So this would be a small lead for BG, and we would be looking at the wire for provisioning. Now, we still have provisioning, okay? And speaking of that, another 1,500 points popping on for BG. There's 2 minutes 45 seconds left. This is by no means totally over, but JST has to have not done anything, and there it goes.
Yeah, here comes the JST provisions. And if there's one thing that JST did very, very well last season, it was provisions, narrowly losing in the invitational to 60 GT at the last second. But I think you're going to see this lead jump up. They should probably get to like 42, 43 once all these provisions come in the next minute.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I do see a lot coming back. There's Sarka with E1 Cav. Interesting. I guess you don't need load capacity really in Ark of Osiris. You only have upwards of 50 reserves to gather. So if you're just sending out and pulling back, and you're not worried about going from node to node, Cav I guess would technically be the best. They don't farm any less speedy than Siege do. They just have more load. So interesting strategy there too.
Yeah, I know that a couple of provisioners I talk with utilize either T1 or T4 just based on either one, if they're trying to, if they anticipate getting hit, then they may not use T1s, they'll use T4s. But a lot of them will use T1s because of speed. So then they can hop between and get quickly between, because the more time that you're on a tile, the less time you're having to travel and less time you're wasting. So there's a strategy within the strategy that we always notice with provisioning, and it's kind of a lost art. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I want to go that far. It's still farming. Okay, so here's the deal. Provisions are a big deal. I think when we're talking about the evolution of Osiris League and Ark of Osiris, a lot of teams just at the beginning just didn't even bother with provisioning, and then people really started to notice that, hey, if you dedicate 1 or 2 players that have maximum farming gear and are ready to rock and roll, they could make a huge difference, multi-thousand point difference in a match. So people started to incorporate that into their strategy, and now you see what we're probably looking at is about a 4,000 to 5,000 point provisioning total. They used to be in the tens because of how much you got back, but some changes into the mode have pulled back that value a little bit, but it's still very valuable and could make a difference in the matches. I mean, even here, it's only a 7,000 point difference in what was almost a 9,000 point difference just a minute ago. So with 15 seconds left, we're going to wrap up this cast here on the screen that you see right now. We're going to hop back into the booth on what's going on with not only this match, but also with the other matches across the realms. I want to highlight some things there, some things that I've heard have gone very well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And here we go. Victory, Bulba.
Tail of the tape. Let's go.
JST Holder coming in with the MVP and 190,000 points. Kingdom 365, JST holding their own and taking the victory. As we scroll over, summary looks exactly like we thought it was going to be, basically from the last 8 or 9 minutes. Let's talk about the scores here. So JST winning not only in the Ark of Osiris score, capturing 2 of those arcs, but also winning the occupation score and winning the provisions score. That's tough to read if you're not in a red team colored shirt. Bubba, what do you think?
It's very rare you're going to see a team win all 3 facets of the game, whether it's arc, occupation, or provisions. Because usually, if you're dedicating a ton of resources towards arc, you're going to lose a little bit on occupation. So it is kind of a tip of the hat to JST for pulling all 3 of these out. Even provisioning coming on top on that one. But the units healed 20 million to 10 million. That's just. We're only in week 1 of group play, and we're already seeing 20 million heals. So yeah, big numbers.
Well, I gotta tell everybody in chat here, make sure you throw a big old GG for JST advancing to the next round. BG really did what they could, right? There's still multiple things here that need to take place. There's no real losers just yet because of the round that we're in. There's 4 teams in each group here that need to do their best. BG still has a chance to advance to the next round as well, but they need to do some work if they want to be one of the top 2 alliances in their group. So JST really doing the first step that is necessary to move on to the next round, which is going to be something that everybody's going to want to watch. That round of 16 is going to be incredible to see. So with that being said, I'm going to jump out of this battle complete screen. We're going to jump over to the actual breakdown of all the other ones, and then we're going to go ahead and go through some of the other matches before we wrap the stream up really quick.
Massive upsets. Oh my goodness. I'm ready.
That's
I'm
what
ready
I've
for you
heard.
to do this. I'm ready for you to do this.
All right, let me pop my surprise face back up on the screen here.
Your 50% expansion. I'm just playing them.
Oh, I've already got 100% expansion looking at some of these
numbers.
Okay. All right, so here we go. So JST again, guys, congratulations to JST for taking that first point in the group. And BG, again, solid performance against what is one of the best alliances for Osiris League in the game, hence them having that nice little eagle wings on top of their banner. But here we go. So 1v, absolutely decimating DKV1. It doesn't even look like it was in the same ballpark. Peak defeating 412A. This was something I think that was saw by a lot of people who know these 2 teams and know what some of the things that had happened in 412 and some of the shifts that's happened inside that alliance. So that's a big win for Peak. 412A, massive alliance. For the most part. Peak really throwing some weight around there. NNAV defeating P. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's the first. That's the first one that I saw that I'm very shocked at. NNAV defeating PX34. PX34, of course, being old HKL, which were the season 2 winners for Osiris League. NNAV being, is this the second or the third one for them in 1034?
That is the second alliance,
and then
PX
AV
also. Yeah, gotcha. They also won the Anubis realm last season as well.
Very nice. Okay, so double winners for PX34. Double winners for old HKL, single winner for PX34. Hence, again, that eagle on the top here. Wow, big deal there. That's a huge, maybe a huge mess up for PX34. I got to see how they go back to the board there. 419E losing to 44E. That's another big one. Looks like 4.7 billion power versus 4 billion power. That's not, too off the realm of possibility. TR doubling up on OPA V, which is, again, 1V's third alliance inside of these playoffs for Realm of Horus. That's a nice thing to see from one of the biggest alliances in the game, in one of the biggest kingdoms in the game. Blackjack taking out Burning Legion. That's a big deal. 3.9 billion versus 3.4 billion. 365 having multiple alliances inside of this system as well. BLN being one of them. They lose their first match. 88XO. I don't like that. 88XO beating 449G. Wow, that's a huge deal. That's an underpowered team against a team with more power, obviously. Something to take into account. Power, obviously not meaning everything, but a good indicator of what kind of equipment people are working with and how many troops. So something to keep in mind. Congratulations to all those winners. 88XO defeating 449G. Let's take a look at Realm of Anubis. Couple players there. Bulba, do you have that screen up? You want to give us a quick rundown?
Yeah. Give me. Well, I didn't have it, but
Well,
I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have it right now. All right, WSA. Oh, narrowly beating out KM43, 41K to 36K. We have H593 coming in Group B, taking out A818. Oh my goodness, I can't talk right now. Group D, TO93 taking out 44KO, 40K to 34K. And one of my sleepers from Group E, HM34 taking out RRK at 40K to 38K. So it was very, very close. And man, the two teams that I kind of don't want to say it because then it's going to ruin my Oryx, but you know, we'll give the cheese. So 60MX are the second team for 60GT, and they are looking absolutely filthy. So if you haven't seen them, definitely go check them out. 60MX taking out Neville, 47K to 28K. And then the bell of the ball, Ash, coming in Group H, taking out TS24, 41. Yeah, that's a big one. I think they're kind of a Cinderella sleeper team this season in Anubis. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do.
Wow, that was really good. Congrats to all the winners on that realm. Realm of Bastet, let's go ahead and do a really quick. DQ39 doubling up GW18. That was from before this match. Close match between QZQ and 91ZJ. A lot closer than it seems from a power standpoint, but very good job for the victory there. 3,000, almost 4,000 point victory for QZQ. We have 12-8-0 or 12-8-0 beating LXS. And again, that's about almost double the points there. AZ04 losing to 88NC. That's an underpowered team beating an overpowered team. So that's a big deal. And again, SG30 defeating KO43. That looked like it was, I think, from a betting standpoint, very heavily in SG30's favor. So not that bad at all. Sobek only having 3 matches, Bulba. We got BBC defeating the Neckbreakers NB59 by almost a 2-to-1 odds favorite there. 302A losing to K244. Again, that's a big deal there. And NRGP defeating the Order of the Golden Lion L33. So those are all of your winners, guys, for the first set of matches on the Osiris League Playoffs Season 5. For Bulba and myself, I hope you guys have had a blast so far watching the streams. We're going to be coming back live again here in about 40 minutes or so. We got some more matches. We have more matches today to go. We're going to have, I believe, Bulba hosting the next set, so stay tuned for him. He's going to be doing all the talking like I've been doing right now. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. I will see you guys in the next set of matches. Make sure you come back here for all the giveaways and all of the action-packed, suspenseful action inside of Osiris League Season 5. See you guys next time. Cheers. Have a good one. Take care.
Cheers.